Hey everybody, this is Randy McMullen with Amstar Mortgage. Hope you're doing well today. I wanted to give you another example of renting versus buying. I got a call from someone who said, well, what if your rent was a little less and the mortgage payment was a little bit more? How would that work out in the numbers over a longer period of time? So the first thing I want you to know is most people look at these on like a 30-year term, but I want to look at it more from a life term perspective, because I think most people, if you're in your 35s, you're probably looking at 40 years, maybe 50 years for living in a home or renting a home. If you're 40, you may be looking at 35 or 40 more years. So what I did is I'm just looking at a 40-year horizon. You can modify this to any time frame you like. I think you're going to find the numbers are going to come out pretty similar. But let me kind of work this out for you. So we looked at buying versus renting. The first thing I did was I looked at a $450,000 house with 5% down on conventional financing. And I just took a rate of 6.75%. Gave me a principal and interest payment of $27.73, and you can see the taxes, insurance, PMI gives me a payment of $34.48. So that's what I used for year one in buying. And then for rent, I went all the way down to $2,200 a month for rent, just to kind of see how does this scenario compare. So the first thing for rent, you can see I just said, okay, I'm just going to give you a 2% increase a year. Not a big increase, but that's kind of a low inflation number lately. So I think that's a pretty conservative estimate for rent over a longer period of time. For mortgages, I also said, well, you know what, I might refinance down to 6.25 in year 6. It may be sooner than that. If it was sooner, you could certainly save more money. And I said PMI would be removed in year 10. Now, the reality is you might get rid of PMI in year 4 or 5. If your house goes up in value, your balance goes down, you can request to have the PMI removed. So again, I think that's a pretty conservative approach in looking at the numbers. And then I added, just for good measure, I added $120,000 for maintenance on the home over that period of time, because you'll need a roof, HVAC, hot water heaters, you're going to repaint. So I built that into this model so I could do kind of a more fair comparison. And the other thing I did was I said taxes and insurance both are going to go up during this time. I actually took taxes from $420 a month up to $750 a month. And I was even harder on insurance. I went up from $160 a month to $400 a month on insurance as time progressed. And then I added up all those numbers over a 40-year period. And the rent number was $1,594,632. And the purchase number was only, even with $120,000 of maintenance, it was still lower at $1,507,000. On top of that, here's where it really gets good. You're going to have equity in your home of about almost $1.1 million for the purchase, and you have zero if you have rented over that entire time. The difference between the savings and the equity is, you wonder why people own homes have $1 million worth of net worth? This is kind of it. Right here, you can see $1.184 million ahead of renting over that same 40-year period. So I did put a plus out there, and I wanted to explain that to you because there's a couple other things. I did not even take into consideration tax deductions for property taxes and interest over that period. You're going to have $813,000 in deductions. Now, I didn't include that because different people are going to be in different tax brackets, but I think that's pretty fair to say that that might even save you more money than I projected. And here's the big thing. Let's just say you're 75, 78 years old, and you really want to have a little bit more lifestyle, a couple of things you want to do, and you're maybe 72, 75. Once you pay for your mortgage, you can do what's called a reverse mortgage. And so instead of paying money, maybe you decide to get $3,500 a month out of your house to help you with your lifestyle at that point in time. That's a really nice convenience you're going to have that if you rent, you're not going to have that ability. The other thing, obviously, with owning a home, there's more financial security. You have a lot more privacy with your own home, and certainly the freedom to decorate or paint or do whatever you want to do with your own home. So those are the big advantages. I hope that was helpful. This is Randy McMullen with Amstar Mortgage. And one more thing, I'm going to show you how, because I know some people are looking at this thing, well, that's all great, but I can't afford $3,500 a month, or I can't come up with $22,000 for the down payment. Stay tuned to my next video, and I'm going to show you how that might be easier than you think. Again, this is Randy McMullen. Have a great day.